think everyone, even if it's not classical music that you really relate to, I think everyone can have that album that they listened to loads the year they graduated, or the stuff that they got ready to in Freshers Week or whatever. You always have those songs that, or those those pieces of music that just go, that was that year, or that was that time. But it's not just a memory, that it's like a nostalgic kind of feeling, isn't it? It's and I think a world without those kinds of associations would be quite sad, really. I don't think I ever had one of these groundbreaking moments where I decided I wanted to become a musician, but I started the flute when I was 8 or 9. I auditioned for the National Children's Orchestra, and then I joined Junior Academy. It's just sort of a series of small decisions that then it became quite clear that that's kind of what I decided to do. And I mean, obviously I love it, but it was never, there wasn't a eureka moment, put it that way. So my theme is, I suppose, a little bit depressing, but it's actually a theme of loss. And I suppose, well, things feel a bit more optimistic now, don't they? But I guess the bulk of this year has just been, it's been tough. And I suppose, yeah, loss has been a big part of a lot of people's, you know, even if it's loss of socialising with other people or loss of going to the pub or whatever, but loss has been a big part of the year. And I suppose initially it wasn't I set out to make a programme about loss. It was just that I knew there were certain pieces that I wanted to include, and there was one particular one, Homeland by Allison, Loggins-Hull, which is very specifically about loss, and that piece is just amazing. So I was really excited to include that, and then I kind of worked around and based the rest of the pieces around that, really. The next piece that we'll then go on to will be a piece by Jolivet called, Cinq Incantations is the name of the whole suite, but I'll just be playing the first one. And this was written a few weeks after Jolivet unfortunately lost his mother in 1936. Well, there's lots of themes of loss in it, but the sort of ritualistic ideas of mourning and grief and the repetition that comes with that. So the piece actually, you play the piece 4 times before you get to the end of it. And I think his aim actually is to generate a feeling similar to the panic of a primitive man. I'm sort of paraphrasing there from what he's written about this piece. But as you'll hear, I think that definitely, my cat thinks that is true. He finds it terrifying.
Un joueur de flûte, berce les ruines by Poulenc, which is a very short, not very famous piece by Poulenc. It was written, I think, in 1942, and it's where he imagines someone sort of surveying the ruins of their village, obviously in the Second World War. The Hebrides Ensemble is just the highlight of my year. You travel all the way to Edinburgh and you do these long rehearsals and things, but then the concerts are always brilliant. I think chamber music, for me, is the thing that I enjoy most about playing music with other people. Whilst this project has been really enjoyable, I'm not sure that playing music just on my own is where the love comes from. Often we'll do a few concerts in a week of the same programme, and the music progresses, but also relationships between you develop, and you feel more comfortable each time you go and do the concert. And you start doing more kind of different things with the music. It's always just very inclusive and open-minded, which I really enjoy. I think Hebrides plays a really important role in the Scottish landscape. I think because the programming, I think, is the selling point of Hebrides. It's very inventive, it's very different. And because there's no fixed ensemble as well, it's not like you're always going to get a string quartet or always going to get a wind quintet. So I've played in a group with harp and strings and clarinet, or with a singer, a cello and a piano. It's always very varied, and I think that's probably the selling point. The piece that inspired this programme most, or the piece that I based this programme around, is the Homeland by Allison Loggins-Hull. This was written, I think, in 2017. There was a huge hurricane that swept through Puerto Rico, and I think her feelings at the time, you know, there was that going on. There was a lot of political turmoil in America, particularly civil war in Syria, and I think it just raised the questions for her of, you know, what are you left with your feeling of home if your community's been picked apart, if the land has been destroyed. The idea of the piece is that how can you be patriotic when you don't belong where you're from? And the piece spoke to me immediately. I first came across it on SoundCloud, actually, and then when I got the score, as soon as I played it, it just felt really emotional, and I think all the emotions in it are very close to the surface. It's like really bubbling right there, and you start off with these a bit unsettling timbral trills as the introduction, and you hear them again at the end, actually, because nothing's resolved. But after that, you then go into these very anxious, sudden outbursts of quite fast semiquavers that kind of peter out, and then the middle of it, there's a lovely but sort of jarring section of a melody. And I just think that from the moment I heard the piece, and I think it's one of the best solo flute pieces I've ever heard.
composers throughout time have been inspired by loss, but also a lot of Scottish music often is. There's a piece by Alastair Savage, who is actually a colleague of mine in the BBC Scottish Symphony Orchestra, but is an amazing traditional Scottish fiddle player and composer. So he wrote this amazing piece called St Andrew's Lament, which was written in the aftermath of the 2013 tragedy of the helicopter that crashed into a pub in Glasgow. I think 10 people were killed and 31 people were injured. And anyway, he wrote this amazing lament, which was originally for flute and violin and was actually premiered in Glasgow Cathedral. And it's very free. It's a cadenza basically, but it's then played as a round, so it's kind of an echo. So the violin starts it out and then the flute joins, but he's agreed kindly that I could do it for 2 flutes for the purpose of this programme. I think the process of doing this, of making this programme has been really difficult actually, because you can have all these ideas of nice solo flute pieces, but then finding any kind of links between them or any themes or just something to make it a bit coherent as a programme is quite difficult. But it's been really enjoyable and it's lovely to have the carte blanche to do sort of whatever we want. That's a bit of a luxury. And the final piece is a piece about space by Edwin Roxburgh called Stardrift. I mean, he writes actually at the beginning of this piece, he writes about how he finds the idea of space and astronomy is quite a therapeutic contrast to everyday life, you know.
and it's sort of a coping mechanism, I suppose. And I think it's quite a nice optimistic thought for the end of a programme about loss, the idea of that kind of bigger picture and perspective.